There are a lot of agents out there that don't even educate themselves. They don't know how to do transactions. They do not know that most is technology. They don't know about marketing, anything that's going on now. And they try to still do business. Our new students, my rocking rookies, they're boots on the ground. Remember during the pandemic? Do you have an idea or you remember how many millions of dollars we did per week? 1.8 million for 14 months straight.
Wow. Oh my God.
You know why?
Why? Today we're gonna do something way off the wall, something crazy, something different, which is good. Listen, today I invited my great friend Diane Brito, who's a great instructor with us. She's a great productivity coach. She's a great leader. And what we're gonna do is this, we're gonna casually discuss topics that are going on in the real estate world today and things that are going on with the economy, politics, interest rates, how all that in general will affect your real estate career, or will it? I don't know. Let's discuss it. So I'm gonna sit down across the table from her, see what she feels, see how I feel. And if you like this type of format, do me a favor, leave a comment below so we can bring more of that to you. Again, today, bringing it to you off the wall, a nice discussion about topics that might affect your real estate career. Hang tight. Those who are thinking about getting a real estate license, and those who already have their license, they probably remember this. They probably were in fear of competition in real estate, right? Do you know the numbers here in the state of California, how many agents there are?
No, but I can tell you it's a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
I think it's over 200,000, pushing a
Pretty
quarter
much.
of a million.
That's about right.
So what's your thoughts on competition?
My thoughts on competition is good for the soul. If we didn't have competition, we wouldn't level up. In real estate, it's more of a skill set. You focus on the goal of success as opposed to who else is doing it. Not everyone that is in the business excels at a level of excellence.
But the common denominator, this is what I want to make sure we understand. The common denominator is that we all have a license, right? So we all have the foundation. Yes. We all took our courses, we all got our license. We're all like, yeah, I want to go out and kick the world's ass, right? What makes one different than the other? What makes one take a step up and say, it's obvious they're going to pick me because I'm better than you. What makes somebody better than another? You know, and I thought about that and I asked myself, what is it? Is it personality? Is it actually skill set? Because skill set can be learned by everybody, right? So does personality come in? What do you think?
I think, and I know because I do this every day in my sleep and when I awake, it's a combination of a lot. The most important thing is, it's your mindset. You have to decide where you want to be and what the success level is. The skill set, you're absolutely right. I agree with you. We can provide them with the training, prepare them for the licensing state exam, and they pass. Now, I've seen a lot of your videos, by the way.
Yeah.
We've been doing this for a while, you and I. And I will say that at the end of the day, when they get that license, what's the normal question? What do they say? What do I do now?
Right.
So once they learn the industry, it's their mindset that will drive you. If they're not educating and leveling up their mind, of course you get discouraged. It's really all about tenacity and determination.
Right, now you said leveling up their mind. Leveling up their mind. To me that's, I like these little phrases that just catch my attention. That one caught my attention. Leveling up their mind. Now, you know what I do? I think of an agent who's new and wants to set themselves apart, right? They gotta be different. First of all, I call that being polished. They gotta polish their attitude, they gotta polish their act, they gotta polish their
physical
skill,
appearance, their
everything.
Their presentation.
Yeah,
yes.
they gotta be polished. And I think that alone will catch somebody's attention. That alone will attract clients.
Yes.
Like, damn, this person's got their act together. Damn, this girl's got her act together. I wanna work with this person. So, to me, an example would be like having a car, right? And it drives well, but you don't ever wash it. You don't ever vacuum it inside. You never, but it works.
It does work.
And I feel like agents sometimes, they work. The engine's good, they change the oil, but they don't look good. They don't, and when you don't, it's funny. When you wash your car, this is funny. When you wash your car, and then all of a sudden you feel like it drives better. You ever have that feeling? It's kind of weird. Every time I wash my car and it's filthy and then I wash it, it feels like it drives better. It doesn't, but it's this attitude. It's this new thing like...
Well, it's probably because maybe it was dirty a little longer than it should have been. Yeah.
That's when I hope for the rainy days. But for my whole life, when I wash my car, I'm like, damn, it actually feels like it drives better. Now I know it's psychological and I'm probably nuts, but I think real estate is the same thing. When you polish yourself, it's like getting a new haircut. Like, damn, I could do this. I feel like $1 million.
Well, you just said it. Presentation. This is what my mom used to tell me often. Diane, presentation is half the battle. What is that old expression? Is it within 20 or 30 seconds when you walk into a room or have a conversation on the phone? I think it's 5 when you're talking to someone. Those type of skills can be mastered. But who you are and how you show up is really the first impression. Yeah. Really difficult to backstroke by a first impression.
Now, do you think your facial expression is important? Do you think that could...
Absolutely.
Right?
I know you like this word statistically, even though it's not my favorite.
What?
Statistically, it's proven, particularly with new agents or even those in the business, when you do your lead generation, you're calling expires or just trying to find out if to find a new client, they suggest that you smile.
Yeah.
When you're on the phone. That's why a lot of people with their earbuds in, they'll pace back and forth and have the conversation. You're in the moment, as if somebody was in front of you.
Right, so presentation, I agree 100%. Presentation is so important when you're making having a listing appointment, whatever it is, man. Even if you're just out there speaking real estate, I think presentation, oh my God. What you look like, how you speak, the whole thing, polish, polish, polish. Check this out. So my wife and I were doing an open house once, right? And this other realtor walks in to preview it, right, alone. Or it was a caravan or something, but another realtor walks in, and I'm dressed up in a jacket and a tie. That day I was wearing a tie. And he walks in, he looks at me up and down, he goes, "What the hell's wrong with you?" And I said, "What do you mean?" He showed up in flip-flops and shorts. He goes, "You don't have to dress like that here in LA." And I thought about that. I'm like, wait a minute.
Interesting.
It is, isn't it?
Well, that's in his mindset.
Right. Now, I'm not saying...
Who has the listing?
Right. Now, I'm not saying one is right or one is wrong, but what's your thoughts on your presentation to the general public as a real estate agent? Now, I believe there's got to be a standard.
Of course there's a standard. I'm going to repeat what I normally
standard,
say.
You got to have at least wear pants.
Right. And those that know me will say, when I speak, I rarely retract unless I have to correct or it's an incorrect answer. I'm going to go back to the presentation. If you were purchasing a home and someone is walking in it, the home is fabulous, you should be fabulous. Again, no judgment.
Oh, I dig that. Say it again.
It's the
So wait,
truth.
yeah, it is.
Don't ask me to repeat it.
No,
just comes. It's like a natural thing here.
If the house is fabulous, you should be fabulous or something like that.
Well, and here's even when I say level up, be fabulous all the time. Right?
Right.
So for the guy in the flip-flops, that was his choice. So maybe it's not right or wrong, but I'll tell you what. If I was in the middle of having a conversation with someone thinking about listing my house, you showed up in a tie, and he showed up in the flip-flops, I'm thinking I'd swing your way.
Yes.
Yeah.
I knew I was right. Just kidding. But, you know, at the end of the day, to each his own, man. Whatever works for you. But again, I highly believe, and I'm down to the marrow of my bone, that there's got to be a standard.
There is a standard.
In this profession. I mean, the hell, if I would go have, you know, if I needed surgery, I would want my doctor in flip-flops. Probably doesn't matter, but I would be more comfortable if I was going to go see an attorney.
It's a professional industry,
it is, right?
Robert. It's a professional industry. Yes, we're in LA. Now, some other states have a lot more higher standard. And yes, this is Los Angeles. There are many agents, particularly in my world, that are very, very successful. All I'm saying is, first impression, at least go medium. Yeah.
Right.
First impression.
And I want to make sure that we separate, at least in my world, I like to separate social standards with personal standards. My personal standards don't have to meet the social standards, right?
Exactly.
And I highly believe that. I really do. You know, just because the world is, you know, deciding to wear their hair a certain style, and I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, that's not me. I don't have to fall into the social norm. I could do my own thing. Hence, independent contractor. If I want to make my business work and I know what works for me, I'm going to wear my hair a certain way. I'm going to dress a certain way. And if I choose not to wear flip-flops, hell, I ain't wearing flip-flops.
It all depends, and we talked about this too. Decade or generational, where do you come from? Right?
Right.
Are millennials, Gen X, baby boomers, and those of us that refuse to answer the question.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Depends on who really is in the room at the time.
Let's go into statistics. Let me throw that at the table. I got here statistics. Let's talk about statistics. I'm not a fan of statistics, but sometimes we have to kind of look at the numbers.
Let's use it as a baseline.
Right. Even, you know what, before we go to statistics, let's go to economic forecasts, what economists say about real estate and what you can expect. And I want to bring this up because I highly remember when the pandemic first started.
Don't
right?
we all?
Right. Early 2020, and we were like, whatever, it'll be over soon. And it wasn't, and it lingered. And the summer of 2020, I'm like, damn, we're in real estate. What's going to happen? And of course, everybody had to give their 2 cents about what's going to happen to real estate, the forecast, the predictions.
That was our first interview.
Was it?
Was,
you're right.
It was in March.
Right,
we
right,
were all
right.
on lockdown.
Right.
6 weeks in.
Right.
And I was sitting on a little couch, I think.
Right.
We were still trying to figure out the
I
Zoom
remember.
thing.
Right.
And what did I say?
I think we were still briefly masked up too. What did you say? Remind us.
I said, after our interview, well, here we are, and you said, well, Diane, where do you think we're going to be next year? I said, well, even though we're not a statistic, we're going to be crushing it. Let's do this again next year. So we did in the second year. And guess where we were?
Where?
Breaking records and not paying attention to the statistic.
Good, and I'm glad you brought that up, because when this whole thing started, this pandemic thing, and the economists were giving their prediction, and not just that, check this out. I remember I'm listening to some other realtors, people who I know in the business, and they were in the business for a long time. They were freaking out. Oh my God, there's going to be a whole bunch of foreclosures, people losing their jobs, this and that, and they were preparing for disaster. And I'm thinking, wait a minute. Again, if we listen to the statistics, and it's not even a thinking positive, thinking negative thing. It's more of a realistic thing. I know how I personally, as a realtor, can shake things up. You, Diane, know as a realtor how to shake things up and keep afloat, if not above and beyond afloat, right? While other people go ahead and they allow themselves to get saturated with these statistics, and they say, well, I guess I'm going down. I'm preparing myself to go down, instead of preparing themselves to keep afloat. So anyways, these economists are making their forecast. Get ready, it's going to be June gloom. It's going to be a horrible time for real estate. Real estate is going to go down, foreclosures galore. And I was like, no way, Jose. And it never happened. It never happened. On the contrary, what happened? What happened with real estate?
It's called following the herd, right? Everybody's going to have their opinion. Now, as far as the economists, statistically, financial, real estate professionals, everyone can excel. But at the time of a crisis, or when it's unforeseen circumstances or territory, everybody is going to step up and give their opinion, right? Because they're basing it on a statistic.
Right.
They're not basing it on an actual event. They don't have proof, so they'll forecast. That's the definition of a forecast.
Right.
So what I teach, particularly with students that are in production and those that have been in the industry, don't discourage yourself or not listen to what is going on in statistics. What you want to do is do your preparation, right? Better have and not need than need and not have. That way, if it happens, you're prepared for it. If it doesn't happen, you don't have to worry about it. Right. Those that don't do well are the ones that stay in the, you said it, panic crazy mode of doom and gloom, and they don't know how to find themselves out of the light.
Right. Because this isn't a business about the whole world. This is about your own independent contracting business. This is your business.
Well, things also affect our business. I will tell you, though, I don't know if it's in your little things you want to talk about. I'll repeat myself again. Unemployment, I come from a staffing background. I always look at that. That's my driver. Unemployment is actually substantially low.
Yeah, right now.
Real estate in our state, we're still closing deals.
Right.
Today, first transaction, 3.4 million funded. So are things slowing down a little? Yes.
So this $3.5 million one you just mentioned, that's for somebody who's brand
Actually,
new?
it's 3.4.
Oh, 3.4 million?
Yes.
That's huge.
Oh, it's larger than huge.
And that's somebody who just got their license. This is their first
This
transaction.
is one of our students.
Right.
And I've been coaching him.
Right.
And I will say, Brian Patrick, when you see this, and I know you will, we are grateful for who you are.
Now that's a damn good
That's my
statistics.
rookie, rock stars you talked about.
Yeah. So that on that note, let's continue speaking on how the economy, the real estate world, affects the economy, or does the economy affect the real estate world? What do you think about that?
Here we go again, round and round. One of the same. I believe they are together combined, but can be separate. The world is going to be based on, again, there's your word, statistics. So, this is the way I see it. Continue to do what you do. You've been doing this a while, right? Real estate changes. Okay, I will tell you the one thing that I've noticed. When I got my license back in 2001, I was told every 7 to 8 years, real estate changes. Well, what is that, 20 years, who cares? At the end of the day, it's been a little more now than 8 or 9 years, right?
Right.
The last crash, as you say, 2007?
Yeah.
2007 or 8?
Right.
How many years ago is that? How's your math?
Right,
Yeah.
right. 15, almost 15 years ago, right.
So
Throw out the window the 7 to 8 years.
I'm thinking
Right.
double time.
This cycle lasted a lot longer than
Yes, it
than
did.
typical, yeah.
Now they're also calling it a correction. I thought that word was interesting.
Yeah.
Statistically, I heard I was on a leadership mastermind last week. They said that they're using more of the word correction because they don't want a panic.
Uh-huh. Instead of a what?
You use the word recession.
Right. A correction.
It's a correction.
Right. Interesting. Mm-hmm. Good. Now let's talk about then on the correction theme. Mm-hmm. Let's go deep into, not deep, let's at least bring up interest rates. And now interest rates rising. I'm
Yes.
talking mortgage interest rates.
Yes, they are.
Because all this stuff affect, maybe, it depends on what you believe in or what you follow, affects the real estate world, right? And mortgage interest rates have gone up.
Affects everything.
Right, which means buyers are now kind of sort of gun shy on
Credit
on pulling
cards,
the
it's
trigger.
everywhere.
Right. So, what do you think about mortgage interest rates rising, and how buyers should purchase or not purchase? Should they wait? Should they not wait? You know, people, you got a pool of buyers out there, or maybe you got a pool of realtors
Yes.
saying, "I'm not going to attack buyers anymore because for what? I'm wasting my time. Maybe I should focus on sellers." You know, what's your thoughts on that?
My thoughts on that are, and it's interesting because we just covered this in one of my classes on Wednesday. And I'm going to quote Gary Keller because he's my driving force. He's been through so much. He says it all the time. When he was selling real estate way back in the day, matter of fact, we're celebrating 40 years in 2023. So the interest rates when he was purchasing were close to 12%. I remember when they were 8 to 9%. We talk about a lot of the purchasers during the last couple of years were mainly millennials, right? So they're used to these lower rates. Those of us who have been, again, around a longer time understand just because the rates are lower doesn't mean it's affordable. So when it comes to a buyer, to answer your question, meet with a financial professional. If you're getting lending, see what you can afford. Is it true that prices are higher? Of course. You might pay more for the same house. I believe in individualized purpose. Some people purchase right away. The ones that can't afford it, they might want to wait. Uh-huh. Here's a statistic for you I just found out yesterday. The average person in, Los Angeles, because that's where we're at right now, Southern California, has an average of $300,000 equity in the house. That's what separates us from 2007 and 8. Because 2007 and 8, it was upside down. Now there's actually equity in, and that's why they don't feel, the financial advisors,
right,
that it's going to be a crash.
Got it.
Because unemployment is low, equity is in the property. You remember what happened, there was no equity.
Right. Good stuff to know, man. So at the end of the day, should realtors be targeting buyers and I guess encourage buyers, hey, it's still a good time to buy a house? I think it's a fine time. I think it goes back to the old, well, why would you want to rent and give away money than invest in your own future with this financial, with this purchase of a home, right?
Yes,
I mean,
absolutely.
It's as simple as that.
It is as simple as that.
Right? If you rent, you're giving away, you're actually, the old saying goes, when you're renting, you're paying the mortgage of somebody who owns that property.
Yes, and for those, look, the reality is not everyone can afford, again, other than California, we're still getting cash deals. So if you have the cash, that's really not an issue. I heard a saying the other day, actually it was yesterday again, that those with cash and are financially stable, if they have the cash, these conversations that you and I are having, they're not necessarily applicable to them. So we're talking about the ones that will need a mortgage. They need to make sure that their money is getting its value. So just look at all options. That would be my advice. Before we start assuming, get with a financial professional, sit down, see what everything all together is, and see what your affordability is.
Remember, not long ago, man, well, just as the pandemic was ending, or during the pandemic, remember those lines of people wanting to go preview open houses? Remember that? How the market was so hot that people were willing to wait outside just to go preview properties during
And
open
write
house.
offers.
And write offers like crazy. Like
10, 20, 30 offers, 1, 2, 300,000 over.
And didn't it feel like overnight that stopped?
Wasn't overnight. So that was about a 24, maybe 21 month window in my world. Again, our area is Los Angeles, right? It phased out. It phased out, meaning beginning of this year.
Right, within months.
And beginning of this year, here's your statistic. We are actually in California 30% higher in closed sales, right? It phased out because there was a decline in as many offers. I actually think it's better because it's not as chaotic.
Well, we got a more balanced market.
We still have multiple offers though.
Right, I got you with that, but the pendulum swung from a seller's market, meaning a seller could say, "Hey, man, I'll pick the best offer."
Oh, not anymore.
Right, not anymore.
Not anymore.
So now it's not like, oh my God, the buyer has full advantage, but it's kind of like right in the middle.
They have more flexibility. What's happening in the real world, and let's say about 3 to 5 transactions a week I'll negotiate from, again, it's LA, 1 bedroom, 1 bath, $500,000, up to 4-6 million, right? At the end of the day, okay, here's for our students. The fact that California properties are as is, right? That's it. There it is. That's how they sell it.
Right.
Before, sellers were like, we are not paying a penny, so don't even ask for credit repairs.
Right.
Now, you know what's happening? They're listening.
Right. Hell, back
They're listening.
when my wife and I did real estate for years, man, requesting the seller to fix something or paint something or change the carpet was it was a given. It was reasonable.
Not only that, you know what else was given? Remember this? Credit to closing costs.
Remember that? That was a reasonable
I mentioned that in the
request.
class a couple of weeks, and they looked at me like I was asking them to all cut a check.
That's
Crazy.
funny, right?
It's
Remember
a mindset, though.
Yeah, the buyers would request from the sellers, hey seller, I'll buy your house, sure, if you pay, a total of 3% of the purchase price for my closing costs. And like, son of a gun, that's a lot of money.
Sometimes they threw in a TV. I mean,
Right,
we got
and they
creative.
would. I remember one time, years ago, somebody threw in a car. Hey, you buy my house, I'll buy
Okay,
you a car.
that's a bit much. Was it the car
No,
that
I swear to
wasn't
God.
washed?
I swear to God. Yeah, right, the dirty car. I swear to God, I remember that. It was like, hey, whoever buys my house, how much was a car back when it happened? Maybe $20,000. So it's like giving $20,000 closing costs of a $2 million house. So
And
almost
look at
evens
it.
out.
And look at it now.
It was a great marketing strategy. Speaking of marketing, what a great segue. Speaking of marketing, what type of marketing do you think is probably a waste of time and which is the most effective? I'd like to talk about that for a second because there's so much out there. It's a lot different than when I first started. Back then we had print.
It's night and day. Yes, welcome to the technological world.
Well, tell me, because I'm not too familiar with the technological damn
So
world.
one of the things and one of the reasons why, Keller Williams ranked #1, right? For many reasons, systems, models, training, and marketing. So under Rick Cunningham's leadership, we are KW Advisors, Keller Williams. That just basically means that we actually have a specialized marketing department. In the last couple of weeks, I'm so excited of what's being rolled out. It's everything from the monthly, right? The monthly rollouts that we used to do for your average postcards. But it goes beyond that too, where they are doing live listings or attract buyers. So it's very exclusive and it's individualized. So agents have a lot more options to go digital. Now, then we have our social media, right? Their own platforms with their Facebook and their TikTok. I actually have a marketing specialist, Amanda, in my Brentwood Market Center. So when a new agent comes in, and we all do throughout Southern California, we all have individualized market centers in our market centers. That way they can do one-on-ones, get their business cards rolling, and then see what level they want to do. So marketing is a crucial part of it.
So let's talk about what's good and what's not so good. What would you recommend as marketing? Because I'm not too familiar with the marketing as far
When you're new so marketing, I look at it this way. I'm not a marketing specialist, but I know one thing. Marketing is a way for the exposure. Brand names in real estate will take the marketing and specialize it to you. What are your strong points? What area do you target? Those type of marketing that I recommend after they're trained, if we're talking about our newer agents, they need to identify remember the farming?
Right.
Farming area. See, nowadays, doesn't have to be limited to one zip code. Remember back in the day we had to stick to that? Yeah. Now it's just wherever the availability is. So the marketing for newer or agents getting in that don't have that much experience. The ones that are seasoned, they already have their market. They might want to do more of an expansion, right? Depending on what they're selling. Is it residential? Is it commercial? Do they specialize in 1031 exchanges, right?
So I guess we're talking about personalized marketing. Everybody has their own personalized marketing, and there's a bunch of variables involved. If you've been in the business forever, you could back off on the marketing. If you're just brand new, you might want to pour a whole bunch of money into marketing. It all depends. If you know a lot of people, you don't have to put so much marketing. If you don't know too many people, you're new in town, you might want to throw your face out there, and it may cost you a pretty penny, but it's a good investment for your career, man.
It's an amazing investment, and I also believe in the creative marketing. Sometimes if we fall in a little stump or we want a new image, we talked about the presentation, that's where your marketing comes in. Your marketing, if it's done properly, can rebrand you, right?
Now let's go somewhere where I wasn't planning on going, but I'm going to go there anyway.
I bet. Let's go.
Yeah. No, it's just something that's not, because we've been talking about a lot of tangible stuff and actionable advice and do this, do that, don't do this. What do you think about statistics? A lot of this is on the surface, but there's some stuff that's not on the surface. And
like
I'm talking
what?
about, in real estate, we talked about being polished. We talked about how your face can say so much without you saying a word. We talked about presentation,
body language,
all
tone of your voice.
Let's talk about. Let's just hit on the difference between, or the fine line between, confidence and arrogance.
Oh, it's not a fine line. It's one side or the other.
And let's let that soak in, because I have my thoughts on that. Somebody who's confident walks into a room and is confident, as to where somebody walks in a room and they have a bit of flavor of arrogance. Now we know which is of course acceptable, and we know which one of course is a turnoff. Should we not be careful as agents to not come off arrogant? And we don't mean to come off arrogant, and can we avoid that? How can we be 100% sure I am not coming off as an arrogant person?
You know, you just asked about 5 questions, right?
Yeah, it's pretty deep, isn't it?
That's okay.
That's why I said think about it.
Yeah, well, so it's not deep for me, because personality traits and the way someone represents themselves, for me, it's basically, if you are arrogant, that is not something that I think will do in any industry, regardless of real estate, because I relate arrogance to entitlement, right? I believe that you stay humble, you can be confident, but just don't be rude.
Yeah.
Don't know too much. The one thing that I've learned many decades on this earth is you could be amazing and successful and have that arrogant attitude. There will come a day when you'll fall off your horse, and good luck getting the lifeline, right? So I believe in, personally in real estate, just go ahead and be aware, be respectful, and the rest is going to take care of yourself.
Humility is important in this business.
Humility, decency, respect. It's the common denominator.
Do you think it's overlooked?
I think it's dismissed, unfortunately.
So do I. You know, my dad tells me all the
It's
time.
dismissed.
To this day, my father tells me all the time. He says, you know, my father's managed some of the one of the biggest plants, companies, you know, years ago. He's retired now. He's in his 80s, but he's sharp as a tack. He always tells me, don't forget, son, he says, humility will open doors for you while arrogance will close them.
I love that.
And I've never.
Say that again, I like that.
Well, humility will open doors for you while arrogance will close them. And I always thought that, and I try to put that in any business I do, whether I'm teaching or whether I'm doing real estate or whatever, you know, to always understand your client's point of view, your colleagues' point of view, the real estate world's, you know, point of view. It's not just all about us, the realtors. So one day you make it big and we're driving the big car and you have a wad of cash in your pocket and you're wearing the best watch. That doesn't mean you have to dismiss everybody else who doesn't have the same.
You want to talk about that word statistically? I just ironically read an article this morning I want to share, but I'm going to say this. The ones that typically have the fancy cars and the large houses, this is what my dad used to say: never judge a book by its cover. Because just because something is on the exterior, you don't know what's going on the interior.
Right.
When you are confident and respectful and you come from that type of root, we're going back to that question again, the root, where do you come from? What we're discussing really can't be taught, it's in the foundation. It will take more for a person to humble themselves and set boundaries so that they're not being bullied or tolerating the gaslighter or the arrogance as it would to the person that's kind-hearted.
Right.
That's just the way it is.
Right. And to work in this field, it's a beautiful field.
It's a people field.
Sure, as long as your core, and this is, I believe this 100%, as long as your core is humble and it's one out of humility, that you really care about others and you're genuine, you'll have a long-lasting career.
Absolutely. Now, I would like to correct though, as you're going into the real estate industry or that you've been here, we have to set our boundaries. At the same time though, you're going to have to show the humility, but you're going to have to show strength too.
Right, right.
I know one thing, silence, right, is an answer. No response is a response.
Right.
The last 3 years during the pandemic, including myself, I've had to learn not to necessarily say anything. It takes more strength to bite your tongue, particularly for me, right? And I've learned that sometimes you just gotta be still and not respond. You just don't know what's going on in someone else's mind.
Right.
When it comes to a buyer or a seller, we had a client on Monday. One of my agents said, I need you to help. I don't know what's going on. She's kind of backpedaling. Remember the old panic fear, like that buyer's remorse we used to call it?
Right.
So she was just confused. It wasn't that it was remorse. She just needed to understand. This happened to be a millennial that just wanted it to go like this.
Right.
It's like, why don't we just step back, have a conversation, ask her, buyer, how she's feeling.
Right.
It's the questions. Have a conversation.
Right.
How are you feeling? What are you afraid of? This is what, again, corporate sales, open probe questions, yes or no. Tell me what you're afraid of. That was my question I asked her. She said, well, I'm listening to everyone. And there's your word. Statistically, when my friends found out I was buying a house, they said that I was crazy.
Wow.
You know the proper questions to ask, you open up the dialogue to resolve it. Mm-hmm. One by one. We sell houses and properties one at a time. Well, unless you got it like that, hopefully you'll sell a multifamily. But typically, you're in the transaction per transaction, right?
Right, right. Let's switch gears. Great conversation, by the way.
Thank you.
One last topic I want to hit, and maybe I shouldn't even go here, but I'm going to ask, see if this works. Politics.
We're going to go there today?
Just
Okay.
for a minute. I'm not going deep, man. I ain't going deep. Hold on, I'm not going deep.
Politics, religion, and a couple of other things.
No,
Okay.
but only because, and we don't have to mention one party over the other.
And we
just
won't.
in general.
Because you may not be one of those parties.
Right.
There's other parties other than one or
Sure.
the other.
But
Okay.
just in general, how influential is politics when it comes to our careers in real estate? Or is there? Does it really matter?
Okay, that's
who's
general.
holding-
Go a little deeper.
Okay, does it really matter who's holding office when it comes to our careers in real estate? Does it really matter who's in office when it comes to the growth of real estate value? And I guess the question would be, yes. What do you think? I mean,
I think you just answered your own question.
I know, but
Thank you for saving me some
I'd like
breath.
to know your advice on this because the last several years, there's been a lot of chaotic stuff going on in.
That's the word we're in,
right.
chaos.
And chaos. And
Everybody's in chaos.
And when it comes to your career or your business or your life in general, hell, we all want zen. We all want peace of mind, and we all want success. How do we do that when there's so much chaotic stuff going on in the political world? How do we find? And this is.
Oh, I like this. This is a good question.
This is what I'm trying to get to is there's so much political stuff and political views, and your group is wrong, and my group is the best, and screw you, screw that. How do we get past all that individually to succeed for our own well-being and for our own families?
Wow.
It's tough, huh?
No, it's not tough at all.
All right, talk to me then.
No, not if you're focused.
Well, all right.
Not tough at all.
Shoot, it took me a while just to figure out the question, and you got an answer like that.
I got an answer like that because I got it like that. Well, when you go through a lot in life, like in my situation here, you said something out of everything that you said that is really the key, and you answered it yourself. I have a respect for politics, even though I don't play any side. For me,
hold on.
You're gonna ask me to
I have a
repeat
respect
that.
for politics, but I don't.
even though I don't necessarily plead either side.
Cool.
I have a lot of people in my circle that are either one side or the other. Very few are the neutral party. So this is what I say. Politics, even though sometimes we don't want to admit it, they play a very heavy role in the world we exist in. Okay? So sometimes you got to fight for what's right, and other times you have to roll with the punches. You talked about individuality. So this is what I say. There is chaos everywhere. Everywhere. I've noticed it increase since the pandemic. A lot of people aren't talking about mental health. A lot of people are still suffering, and nobody wants to talk about it. So, including myself, for those who are listening, try to find the strength within yourself, because it all begins in your own mind. You can go to therapy, you can find whatever leeway you need to survive. You need to look yourself in the mirror and survive within yourself. Because at the end of the day, we're all standing alone, really. So my advice would be mental health, my favorite word in the last 2.5 years.
Yeah.
Self-care.
Okay.
Whatever that means.
Right.
Some people it might be walking on the beach, working out, or basically just being alone with not a lot of chatter. It's the chatter that confuses us.
And at the end of the day, if you have Zen inside, if you have peace in your heart and soul, typically everything else.
Okay, so here's the question
works
for
out.
you. How do you get the peace?
Right. But once you find the peace, of course, you're in a lot better position to attack the world. But until then, you're just going chaotic yourself.
So I have a little, actually my therapist back in the day told me this, and I still use it now. When you're actually chaotic, whether it's in a real estate world or even right now, she said, Diane, take a list of paper and you write down on the left side what you can control. And on the right side, you write down what you cannot control. So for you, politically standing, I can't control that. I can pray for it, I can wish it well, and I can see how it's going to affect my world. But what I can control is what I focus on.
Got it. You know, this is going to be a good segue. What you just said, this little topic, I think.
This is real-time life. A lot of people don't want to talk about it.
Well, the Zen.
Everybody's like, how you doing? Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Got it.
Oh, all good. Really?
But having stability, you know, a mental state of mind where it's solid, having a core that's at peace is going back to the car analogy. So having the peace and the Zen within is the gas to the gas tank, to that car example. If you could fill up the gas tank with peace, right, and mental health, and you're all there and you feel good, car's gonna travel. All you gotta do now is polish up the car if you really want to take off. But the gas, the mental health, the core of being, what's the word I'm looking for, Diane, help me out.
I don't know, because in my world, electric is trumping your gas.
Oh, electric. I hate electric cars. Oh, man, they don't. Yeah, I like the smell of good old-fashioned gas. And I like that sound of, oh, the good old muscle cars. But at the end of the day,
I understand what you're saying. It's the driver.
At the end of the day, you know, you can't really travel anywhere unless you have inner peace, right? And everything around you is, boom, feels good.
And that's my point. So don't travel anywhere until you know how to drive. You want to go there? Yeah. Right. So if you don't have your driver's license, you don't know how to drive, I would suggest that you master that, and then you can drive off. Nice. And it could be peace of mind. What about like hopeful?
Right.
You can have peace of mind, but you don't know where you're going. It's that balance.
Yeah.
right? You got to have that balance.
I got you. But don't, I just want people to know, we don't just get into real estate and say, all right, good, I'm going to go make things happen. There's a balance of everything. You got family life, you got your social time.
And there's also the determination, right? Look, that's the feeling base, and I respect that. I have learned that there are going to be times in your life where you don't feel like doing nothing. That's the time to push through. That's the time. That's what separators, and here's my word for the real estate industry, in the next, I thought you would have asked me what I saw by now, but I'm going to volunteer it. In the next 6 to 10 months, we're going to separate the performers and the producers from the pretenders. Performers and producers from the pretenders. Because since the pandemic, there's a lot, this little gap right here, people just had a lot of luck.
Well, who are they?
They had a lot of affiliation.
Right.
They were at the right place at the right time.
Right.
So that good for them. And they made a lot of money too. They're probably off in Costa Rica somewhere. Or maybe Brazil. I hear you can live there for citizenship in like 90 days.
Right.
I hope they invested that money.
Yeah.
Bitcoin. But the ones that are staying in it longer term are the ones that will thrive in the next 8 to 10 months.
Who are the pretenders? Talk to me about that. Pretenders, do you mean like those who say, fake it till you make it kind of thing?
The pretenders are the ones, well, this will be a whole nother segment. In real estate, right, I'm an instructor for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You didn't forget that, did you?
No.
Okay, cool.
One of the best instructors California Realty Training, U.S. Realty Training has. Are you kidding me?
Well, I'm
You give great
humble.
crash courses.
I do give great
We're blessed to have you.
And I am blessed to be here. And I'm grateful for Zoom, too.
Yeah.
My students are the best in the industry. Matter of fact, for those of them watching, please come back if you'd like to, wherever you are in the world. Yeah, because training is important. So what I'd like to say is, at the end of the day, the training is important, and you got to have the faith to move forward, right? So,
Pretenders, we're talking about pretenders.
pretenders, those that know what they're doing a little bit, but they're not really that into real estate law, laws of agency, representation, fiduciary responsibilities. They are into, I got a buyer, get it under contract, when do we close?
Got it. Yeah.
That is what's been or has escalated in my eyes the past 3 years. Okay, here we go. I had an agent call me yesterday.
Here we go. We've been going.
Here we go. Well, I mean, as far as this, we're going to keep going too. We talk about all type of agents. So I had an agent that has been with us for 14 years, right? This is what I know. Those that have been active and present, that when I say level up, they learn what's going on in the now market, right? There are a lot of agents out there that don't even educate themselves. They got their license 10, 15, 18 years ago. They don't know how to do transactions. I don't even know if they've heard of the word DocuSign. They do not know that most is technology. They don't know about marketing, anything that's going on now. And they try to still do business the way they were doing it. This is why our new students, my rocking rookies, they're boots on the ground. Remember during the pandemic?
Yeah.
Do you have an idea or you remember how many millions of dollars we did per week?
I don't remember the exact number.
1.8 million for 14 months straight.
Oh my God.
You know why?
Why?
Because they learned, and most millennials or Gen X's, remember we used to have to fax machine?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I remember we used to hand deliver stuff.
And when we made a mistake, we had to drive back.
Right.
Now guess what? Boom, DocuSign, correction, boom. Everybody's on Zoom, on their mobile devices.
Yeah, I'm amazed I can go on my phone right now and check my bank balance.
I'm very proud of you. What is that bank balance,
I can receive
by the way?
money from you if you want to send it. You can do all kinds of stuff
I
with this
receive money quicker than I do sending.
Yeah.
That's my app.
Yeah, so I think this is powerful, sure. But it's only...
It's your office. Like at Keller Williams, we have our Onward platform. It's command, right?
Right.
Boom. We can do a transaction while you're on the beach.
Right.
The ones that don't know, so when I have an agent saying, can you help me do a lease? That was my response. I was silent.
Oh, got it, okay. Listen, so let's do this, because I think I want to wrap this up. I had tons of fun today. Let's do this again, by the way.
Thank you.
But what I want to do is this. I want to close off with this, our talks with this. Let's briefly reflect on what we just discussed.
Okay.
And I want you and I want I to pick something that we said or heard that we think is powerful that we learned today. That the students, that whoever's watching could say, damn, I forgot you said that a while ago. You're right. Something that we think, you know what, here it is. Here it is. If you're going to take anything away from today's lesson or from today's talk, take this with you. Put it in your pocket and see if it'll ever help you again. Just one. We gave a whole bunch of stuff today. You were great, by the way. And I was
Not as good as you.
even better.
I love this tag team. I remember back 6-7 years ago when I first saw your YouTube videos on training, and little did I know that, you know, fast forward 8 years later, I had the pleasure to be able to
You know
sit
what I
here
found
and
out?
chat with
I found out that textbooks are important, but they're only one-dimensional. I believe somebody's speaking their mind and their soul.
That's my takeaway from today.
Yeah, hold on. So what's your takeaway for today?
My takeaway from today, and thanks for asking.
Sure.
Find your business. Know our business if you're in this business, and see what works for you.
Nice.
Take old school, take new school. Find them both. But be engaged.
Great.
Just getting licensed doesn't necessarily. Everybody wants to be a millionaire. And most importantly, be aware of your mental health. How are you feeling? You don't have to walk around fabricating. There are people out there that really do care about you. Yeah. And do the best for your clients. This is what I say, hashtag. It is relationships over transactions.
Ooh. Hashtag relationships over transactions. Boom, love it. My takeaway.
You're gonna have to beat that back.
Oh no, mine's simple. Mine's just gonna be a few words. Yeah, that was deep. My takeaway is the driving force behind anyone's success in any business is humility. Is humility. And I'll give my dad the credit, you know. My takeaway today, because we can all learn everything. We can all learn this and be in front of the same presenters and take the same courses and take this and buy the same books and go to the same seminars. But I think what makes certain people more attractive than others is their sense of humility. And I think humility also is on your face, your gestures, your tone. So I believe humility opens
and
doors.
In your spirit.
I believe humility opens doors and arrogance closes them. So I'm going to say that's my takeaway today. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
I appreciate it. Let's do this again if you're
Absolutely.
ready.
High five.
Boom.
Thank you.
Boom. Thank you very much.